So at the start of 2011, I began working toward making a difference in a different way. I started going to the monthly heart transplant support group meeting over at St. Thomas Hospital. And the reason I did that is I can remember back before my transplant when I would go to clinic visits, there were always transplant recipients hanging around there to encourage you if you were on the list at the time, answer any questions you might have, and try to give you a little bit of an idea of what you could expect after your transplant. And I remember how much those folks meant to me and how much they helped me enjoy. So I felt like a way that I could pay it forward was to go do for others what they had done for me. But the strange thing was is whenever I'd go to these support group meetings, I always felt like I got more out of it than what I contributed, which actually kind of surprised me. Then, July 2011 rolled around, and the support group meeting for that month. However, something happened in that meeting that changed me forever, that I simply did not anticipate. The meeting started at 10 o'clock that morning, and along about 10:30, a young lady pushed the door open to the conference room and came in. I'm going to call her Kim for anonymity's sake, you know, the old HIPAA laws and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, when she pushed the door open and come in, she caught my attention immediately because she appeared very, very, very weak. She kind of shuffled and stumbled across the floor. She was on oxygen, struggling to get across the room to her chair. I also noticed that every man in the room, including me, had kind of eased up to the edge of his seat so that we could get to her quickly if she happened to fall, because it appeared very possible that she might. But we were also thinking if we couldn't catch her, at least we could get over and pick her up when she did fall. But she didn't. She got over the table, sat down, took a few minutes to catch her breath, and then she introduced herself and began to tell us about her LVAD. For you all that don't know what an LVAD is, it's a left ventricular assist device. Basically what it is, it's a little mechanical pump that some people carry around in a fanny pack, others carry around in a vest. It's attached to the heart, and it makes their heart pump stronger than what their diseased heart will. Sometimes it's used as what's called a bridge to a heart transplant to kind of get you by until you get a new heart. And then in folks who, for some reason, can't have a transplant, it's known as destination therapy. Once they get the LVAD, that's what they're going to have for however much longer the good Lord gives them to live. But as this girl began to talk and tell us about her experience with her machine, the thing that caught my attention is she was really, really joyful. And she kept talking about how much better off she was since she got the LVAD. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, you're that much better. Girl, you look like you're half dead with the machine. And it really struck me. I continued to listen to her talk. And the more I listened to her, I found myself beginning to have to try to fight back tears. I was actually beginning to think I was going to have to leave the room because it was getting to me. And then from the sadness, I found myself getting angry. And I began to think, we live in the greatest country in the world. The greatest. We are the wealthiest. We have the greatest doctors, the greatest nurses, greatest medicines, and greatest technology. But yet this poor girl is relying on a machine just to survive day to day. I thought to myself, that is unacceptable, and somebody needs to do something about it. And I had no more than got those words through my mind, and a little voice whispered to me, you do it. So now I'm thinking, okay, what is it? Then my mind went into overdrive, and I thought back to 5 years before, laying in ICU one day after my transplant, praying because there was nobody else around besides me. And that day I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, I know things are different now, and I need to know what you would have me to do. And all he said was 7 words. Tell people what I did for you. It was that simple. So I put that together with you do it, And it began to make sense, the direction that the Lord had laid out for me. It wasn't in politics, at least not anytime soon. It was of a higher calling that would make an even bigger difference than politics. For 7 months, I've been talking about the new project. Well, the time for talking is over with, and it's time to get to work. So before I share with you what that is, I want to introduce a special guest today. 5 years ago, her son was waiting on a liver transplant, and unfortunately did not come in time. But he was thinking of others, and he was an organ donor. I'm alive today because Kent Hewson cared about his fellow man. And his mother Ruth is with us today. I want you all to give their hand. Ruth, I got something for you to help me with.
Oh.
Yes. You're going to help me unveil this thing. Get on this side, and I'll tell you when we're ready. After 7 long months of work, it is my pleasure to unveil and introduce the Tennessee Organ Donation Foundation.
Sit up there when you're through. You want to sit right
Yeah, I
there
can
when
hear
you're
better.
through?
Yeah, sit right there.
I'm going to sit here right here.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you about what we're going to be doing. Here's the neat thing. Tennessee Organ Donation Foundation is the only nonprofit agency in the state of Tennessee that was founded by and will be exclusively managed by members of the organ donation community. We have but one goal in mind, and that is to put an end to the needless dying of the 19 people in this country that die every day for one reason: a shortage of organ and tissue donors. We aim to accomplish this by improving public awareness of the importance of organ and tissue donation within the state of Tennessee. And we feel that we are uniquely qualified to do this because, as I said earlier, we are motivated. Before I go any further, I want to take a moment to introduce the leadership team. Myself, I am one of the members of the board, and I'm going to serve as the executive director. And when I put this thing together, the other thing that I knew is that I was going to need an excellent team to help make this successful.